everybody, welcome to part 2 of Ireland Off the Beaten Path. We left off in our last video. We were in Dublin, we went all the way down to Cork, and then all the way down to Baltimore at the very tip of the island. And on this video, we're going to pick it back up, and we're going to go back up to Kenmare, up to Killarney, and we're going to do the Ring of Kerry, but we're going to take a little excursion, and we're going to go to Valentia Island and show you a little bit of that. Back to Killarney for a second night, and then we're going to go all the way back up to Galway for a couple of nights and spend a great day in Athlone and then back to Dublin. So here we go, part 2. It's another beautiful day in Ireland, although all forecasts say it's supposed to rain like 100% today. Well, at 8:30 in the morning, it's not raining yet, so we are going to take advantage of it. We're going to do a little bit of hiking. We're going to do a little bit of just kind of off-road stuff, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So you'll see what it is today. First stop of the day, Killarney National Park, where there's supposed to be some beautiful waterfalls and stuff like that, and it's still very pretty out here. So we're kind of arguing whether this looks more like Jurassic Park or Chronicles of Narnia. My personal pick is Outlander. So more to come when we get to the waterfalls. Feels like we're entering medieval times. This is so neat. This is off-road Ireland for sure. If you ever saw the Robin Hood, the original one with Kevin Costner, this is kind of what it feels like. This is your basic outdoor Ireland. I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's a rainbow out here in the Killarney National Park. So I think we're going to try to find the pot of gold at the bottom of that rainbow, and maybe there's a leprechaun over there too. Behind me is Torc Waterfall in Killarney National Park. If you can see it, it's super cool. It's very massive and big and gorgeous. And I bet it is freezing to death, so you don't want to get in there. Like maybe in the USA, you would get in there and maybe get your feet wet. Not today, not in September.
There you go, John.
While on the Ring of Kerry, we ran across a horse and carriage. You can't pass that up. So we're about to take a ride down, we're still in the park, we're still in Killarney National Park, but we're about to take a 40-minute ride down to the house and just around. And this is going to make her day for sure. There's nothing like seeing Ireland from a horse and carriage. So our guide says this is going to be the most beautiful thing we've ever seen, and I love it. Look at the cottage, how cute! It's exactly what you think would think Hansel and Gretel, or just a cute little cottage. It's so sweet. When your horse does good on your tour, you give him an apple. The highlight of JoJo's trip is feeding the horse an apple. We had an amazing time in Killarney National Park. It's well worth the trip. It's going to take you a few hours to just kind of ride around and do things, and I definitely recommend the horse and carriage. There's no way better to see it, and you'll usually probably get a guide like ours who cannot wait to tell you about everything and knows the history of Ireland and the history of the Ring of Kerry and everything around it. So this is definitely on the top of the list of things we'll do next time we come. Today our driver is Naomi, and she's doing really good on these little narrow Killarney National Park roads. We will never get used to this left-hand stuff. They are so wrong over here. Today we found an Irish pub that we really love for lunch. It's what you would exactly think, listen to the music overhead. So we're loving this. This is our table. So super cool. Love it. This is Ireland. This is the lovely town of Kenmare, which is where we ate lunch and where we're spending a little time this afternoon. What a charming town. There is no shortage of art and music and clothing and just about anything else that you are looking for in the town of Kenmare, which is right our first stop in the Ring of Kerry. Thanks, Uncle Steve. This is what we get to hear all the way back to Jackson. We leave Kenmore and go back down the Ring of Kerry to the island of Valencia. The views are stunning. The wind is massive. It's 60 to 80 mile per hour winds. It's shaking the car, but it's really just kind of fun. All right, it's about 100 mile an hour wind. And this guy right here somehow managed to smoke a cigarette, to light and smoke a cigarette during all this. That is really talented. You won't see anything like this in Mississippi for sure.
We found this abandoned, this old ruins. I'm not sure really what it is. It's down here in the Ring of Kerry, southbound. But we wanted to come out here and just kind of look at it and let me walk around. And it's also like an old cemetery. We wanted to look and see what
This cemetery that we found on the way, it was pretty amazing. It looked kind of abandoned. It's on private property, but it had a gate and it was kind of open, so why not? Just going in there. So we found a grave actually that was open and exposed, and you could actually see an old remains in it. So it was kind of creepy, but it was kind of cool at the same time. But it was definitely authentic, and it was definitely a part of Ireland that's it's a part of the history, and it's something we're glad we're able to experience. Valencia Island is probably the most western point of the island. It's on the western side in the south, and it's at the bottom of the Ring of Kerry, although you have to kind of get off the Ring of Kerry to get there. And you can only get there with one-lane roads, which makes it just really fun and exciting. When you get there, you can park and then walk about 10 to 15 minutes just directly up. But when you get there, it's some of the most beautiful sights in Ireland. It's very, very windy, but you're looking out on the ocean, and about 4,500 miles from where we were looking, we could look straight at the USA, where we are from. So it's actually very beautiful, and I highly recommend it. It's probably one of the most fun things we did when we were there, and the most exciting, and I think you'll enjoy it. So definitely check out Valencia Island.
Yep. They don't have to tell me that but once. Danger.
After a busy day on the ocean and touring and lighthouse and everything else, we are eating at a traditional Irish pub. Hope to have some good food, some fish and chips, some Irish stew. It's going to be fun. Absolutely a beautiful bar master. Thank you.
A very nice close to our 4th day in Ireland at the Bridge Bar. Now we're going to call it a day. We're going to drive back up to Killarney and stay in our hotel and get ready for our trip to Galway tomorrow. We just checked out of our hotel and we are on our way up to the top up there to Galway. Got a whole list of things we can do, but our first stop is going to be the Cliffs of Moher. It'll take about 3 hours to drive there, and it's a little bit bigger road, or more traveled road than we've been on, so kind of looking forward to seeing what industrial and business Ireland looks like. Our first stop from Killarney to Galway is the visitor center, just to make sure we're not leaving out anything. Seeing a red door and an abbey in a little town that we found. I'm gonna go in, check it out. It's pretty cool to be here. Just kind of, use your imagination. You can see, some old folks from way back in the 11th, 12th century. So what's this? Back behind me. You can see the front of the church. And here's so far on our trip, we've only had really one day that it was sunny, and the other days have been kind of like this, kind of dreary and a little sprinkly, and you never know, it might just downpour. And we really thought we were going to really be bummed about that. That was going to be a terrible experience, whatever. But we have learned that it is really not all that big deal. You just kind of go with it, bring the right rain gear, and it's it's not miserable at all. You just learn how to go with it, and that's what we've done. So you can have fun in Ireland. If it rained every day, it would be just as good as anything, better than most. This is the town of Adare, in between Killarney and Galway on our stop. It's our first stop after the visitor center to kind of figure some stuff out. And this is a golf course here, a cemetery, and old ruins. How would you like that? So we're going to check this out because this is off the beaten path. It's not something somebody would go to unless a very nice person at the visitor center told you about it and said you may or may not want to do it. So may or may not meant we're doing it. So here we go. Date of construction, 1464. Before the first American even thought about golf. Well, actually before the first American period. You certainly don't see this every day. It's amazing. Check this out. This is the Grand Hall. We think this might be the Grand Hall. That is correct. And what's a good castle without a good fireplace? That's a magnificent one right there. So we're figuring out that this was an abbey, and here's the chapel. Check that out, and that looks just like perfectly intact. Bell tower there. You can just put your imagination together and figure out what. I mean, this is really just amazing. You definitely want to see this if you come here. This is definitely not bad for 600 years of wear and tear. Good job, whoever the upkeeper was. They did their job. We relied on Google to give us our next recommendation for lunch today on the way to Galway in Limerick before we go and tour the university. And it gave us a pub and a shopping mall. So we're about to experience two things at once. A shopping mall and a shopping mall pub. Well, lunch was a hit. Not exactly a pub. They don't serve alcohol or anything like that. And it's kind of like the version of Subway in Jackson, but absolutely delicious. I would absolutely recommend it. It was fast and inexpensive. And now we're out of here. And then our next stop is the Cliffs of Moher. And on our way to Galway right now. We just arrived at the very southern part of the Cliffs of Moher. We opted to park in a little tiny parking lot and walk up and see a small part and then drive to see more. But you can see this is quite different from what we looked at yesterday, as the wind is not bad at all. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So this is definitely your off the beaten path way to go see the Cliffs of Moher. Us and about 10 other people on a busy Tuesday. So find a place to park and just walk about a half a mile and get the place to yourself. There's a little footpath here that, as we're seeing this spectacular view right here, we'll take this little footpath and go up to the Moher Tower. And there's some history behind that. I'll probably post that in the notes. But the main thing is the Cliff of Moher. It's going to be right here. So this is what, after our mile hike to the south of Cliffs of Moher, we're now going to hike up to the new one.
The Cliffs of Moher are a beautiful sight, and I'm so glad we got to see it. It's a good bit of walking. We started out at the south and walked up about half a mile or a little bit more, and then turned around because it started raining and drove around to the north side. In hindsight, we wish we would have just walked from the south all the way up because it's a wonderful hike and you're going against traffic. So there are actually fewer people on that side, but it's actually very beautiful. And it's something that you definitely, if you're in Ireland and that side of the world, you definitely want to see. It's one of God's greatest creations.
After a long day at the Cliffs of Moher. We have stopped in a little town called Ballyvaughan and are going to eat. And it looks like yummy, and we are all exhausted and we are all very, very hungry. So we're thinking this might be a very good pick. The Monk's Restaurant and Pub turned out to be a very lovely place in Ballyvaughan, and we're so glad we came. It's probably, maybe, one of the best restaurants we've been in since we've been here. Now we're headed back to Galway to check out our next place to stay. But this is so cool, so fun. It overlooks the ocean. I love this country. This is awesome. We've arrived in Galway, and we've got this great hotel that's got a great eating area, a great bar, within only steps of Eyre Square. So we're excited about that, and we will definitely be checking that out and shopping there tomorrow.
So far, this trip has been full of selfies, and today was no exception. So enjoy our selfies of the day.
There's no shortage of shops and things to do in Galway, even when it rains. We're walking into Eyre Square, which is apparently the place that you want to be on a day like today. So here's something interesting we found. This is John F. Kennedy, a memorial to him. And the reason we think it's interesting is because our family name, when we trace it back, is Fitzgerald. And there you go. So, you know, not only am I related, maybe, to a president that was actually president right before I was born, but also it's a great traditional family and a family name here in Ireland. So maybe I'm more Irish than I think. Here's some more of Eyre Square. So I can see why locals would like this, and tourists as well. A lot of art, a lot of history. It's just a really cool thing, really cool place.
As you can imagine, Galway is full of geocaching spots. So, like every other day, we're out on the hunt for some more treasure today on the University of Galway, which is a beautiful little campus, very modern, about 18,000 students. We found our treasure, and now we're ready to go and eat lunch and shop some more and do some more fun things in Galway.
Lunch in Galway, brasserie on the corner. It's like your basic traditional Irish meal. Looking forward to this. We walked 40 minutes outside of Galway in the busiest district because we wanted to see, or maybe it was because I wanted to see, this church that was built in the 1200s, 13th century. It's hard to fathom something that old. But you can see the graves, and these cemeteries are authentic to the time period. So some of them, such as that one, clearly we would never know who that was. Really cool. We're gonna look for some names and some dates and stuff, and take more pictures. Spend a little time out here, not a whole lot of time, and then get back into Galway, and then I am gonna plan a pub tonight. More to come.
From the time we started planning this trip, I really wanted to make sure we got to Galway so that I could play in a pub or two. Played in Dublin and had such a blast. I wanted to make sure I got to do it in Galway. So we found a couple of places, and I got to sit in a couple of sessions and had the time of my life.
Galway, dinner time, just played in a pub, time of my life. Now I'm going to go find another one and see if I can do it again.
Galway is a beautiful town. It's shopping, art, beautiful scenes, a university, food, live music. It's a great place. It's easy to get around, and it's really something you want to put on your list to do when you're in Ireland. It is a destination place. This is our last night outside of Dublin, so we're gonna just walk around, and we had a great time. We'll head back to Dublin tomorrow, so we have really loved Galway.
After 2 nights in Galway, we checked out of our hotel this morning and headed back to Dublin. Found a little town and stopped because there's a castle here and the oldest pub in Europe, which I'm guessing would be probably in the world as well, is located in this little town. So we thought we would check that out as well. Here's the castle, complete with music by an accordion. We're taking an interactive tour of this castle, Athlone, and look at this date right here, 894. So I'm looking forward to just all the oldness of Ireland, which, you know, I read about before I came, so I'm super pumped about this. Knight Joellen getting ready for battle. As castles and museums go, it's a pretty cool place. Very interactive, and we have a whole place to ourselves today. So how fun is that? Here's a good timeline of Ireland and what we're seeing while we're here. It goes back to 800 AD. Check that out. That is some old stuff. We're at the top of the castle here at Athlone, looking over, and this is pretty much preserved. Of course, it's set up to be to where you can learn from it, but it's preserved so you can really kind of experience back in the 14th century. For lunch in Athlone, we found this really cute little bar and restaurant, and it's really obviously just for locals because there was nobody in here, and it was probably the best food, some of the best food we've had on this whole trip. Love this. So, moral of this story, always go to the local where the locals go. That's where the good stuff is.
Right across from Athlone Castle is a beautiful cathedral. It stands tall in the sky, and it's just massive in size. St. Peter and Paul in Athlone. So we went in, and when we got in there, it was absolutely beautiful. Maybe 1 or 2 people in there, acoustics, just amazing. You could hear a pin drop. So I got my whistle out, and I played Amazing Grace. And it was one of the most just meaningful things of the trip to me. Athlone was a wonderful town, and it was a great ending to a great trip. It's about an hour outside of Galway, in between Galway and Dublin. I highly recommend that you make your last stop there if that's the way you're going as well. We got back to Dublin. We were able to see my friend Julie and spend a little more time with her. We actually played together that night. She teaches in Dublin, and she's a professional flute player, so enjoyed that time. This was an amazing trip. We board first thing the next morning and fly back to the States and resume lives over here. So it was an amazing vacation, a great 9 days in total, 7 days, full days of touring, and 2 days of travel. An amazing trip. We loved it. We hope to come back one day. We hope you enjoyed this video. Leave us a comment if you have any questions. If you enjoyed the music on this video, check it out below, emeraldaccent.com.